Hello and welcome to Reporters, the show where we delve deep into the issues that matter. I'm Jade Barker, great to have you with us. Today we're heading to the US-Mexico border. The 3,000-kilometre strip is becoming increasingly porous, and those chasing their American dream have become a political nightmare for Barack Obama. This year alone, more than 50,000 children, many of them under 10 years of age, have been caught trying to make their way from Mexico to the US, placing the issue at the heart of the midterm elections. But illegal immigration is not just an American problem. While authorities north of the border try to stop illegal entry, they're up against powerful gangs and traffickers. Our correspondents get the story on both sides of the border.
The sun rises over the Arizona desert. Spider and Axton are already on patrol, armed to the teeth.
This is a Cuisinart 300. This is used for making mashed potatoes. No, I'm just kidding.
These men are American Army vets. Both served in Iraq and Afghanistan. They volunteer their free time to be in this militia group. Their mission is to stop illegal immigrants from setting foot in the US. But their real enemy is Obama's immigration policy.
You know, if we didn't do it, who's going to do it? The border's unsecure. You have no idea what's coming through the border. And, you know, I love this country. The government's not going to do it. We got to step up and do it.
Yeah, we help out. Yeah, I mean, if you look right over there, you got the Mexican border, a part of the fence, and the rest is wide open.
Since last summer's unprecedented immigration crisis, they've stepped up their operations. Tim is the group leader, and he's spent $26,000 to get his team together.
Today, we're going to be covering 10 miles of the border, and I'll be able to do that with 8 guys.
He's leading a non-stop 10-day commando operation, a manhunt for undocumented migrants.
Yep. The higher you can get, the better, because we're going to have you trying to beam all the way back down here.
Night vision goggles, sat phones, assault rifles. They have an arsenal fit for a war zone, but they claim they only use it as a scare tactic.
You'd be crazy to try to do this without arming yourself, because sometimes they come through and they are armed, so it's just, the old saying, better safe than sorry.
They call themselves the Patriots. Some of them are just civilians.
That's one for my parents.
In real life, Aaron is a plumber. He took leave just to come here and paid his own way from Texas.
Yep. I paid probably $2,500. Airline, a little bit of gear. I had a lot of the gear, but there are expenses. There's a great expense in getting here.
That's a lot of money, right?
$2,500 is a lot of money to some people, especially a plumber. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
This evening, everything is calm. Not a single migrant in sight. The moonlight and the militia's constant patrolling might have put them off from crossing. The next morning, Tim insists on showing us what really riles him up. After a few kilometres, the towering metal fence turns into a much less daunting barrier. And in some places, it almost vanishes.
This is our fence. This is what keeps out terrorists, drug runners, illegal aliens. This is our protection.
Border Patrol, the federal police who guard the frontier, cover the same territory. Officially, they condemn the militia's border activities and don't want to be seen with them.
So you saw the camera and...
But behind the scenes, they work hand in hand. Despite orders from his superiors, this agent gave us an insider's view.
You know, a lot of people are against them. We're told not to get close to them. I appreciate it because it's, we're not, when you have shift change, there's gaps and they're there. So I appreciate the extra help. I'm patriotic. I've served my country in the military and I serve it now with what I do. So yeah, all the help we can get.
Border Patrol say this stretch of the border has become more dangerous with the boom of drug cartels controlling the routes the migrants use. In the last 2 decades, 10 Border Patrol agents have died on duty. Agent Ray and her colleagues risk their lives every day on patrol.
So this here is a memorial for an agent by the name of Alexander Kirpnick. We do come across smugglers who have weapons, who they have no regard for human life. And so we always have to be, on guard and making sure that we go home safe at the end of the day. And so this is one of the agents that did not make it home that day.
Off camera, the agents complain they're too short-staffed to really keep the 3,000-kilometre border secure. There's only one Border Patrol agent posted every 3 kilometres here in South Arizona. The difficult conditions have pushed some agents over the edge.
Yeah, and I don't care. I don't care at all.
This video, filmed on a phone, shows an agent gleefully emptying water bottles left out for migrants in the desert by humanitarian groups.
You get a good shot.
It's estimated that only 1 out of every 3 migrants are ever caught by Border Patrol. Those apprehended will either be deported back to their home country or will be granted a temporary stay in the US while a decision is reached on their case. In Tucson, 100 kilometers north of the border, the bus station has become an entry port to the US. REBECA comes here every night to help guide newcomers.
When you go to court, you have to tell them all the horrible things, the worst things that have happened, and tell them you're seeking asylum.
Irma is fleeing from violence in the south of Mexico. She's on her way to meet her father in Atlanta, who's expecting her and her 3 children.
I want a better future for my children, for economic reasons, and so they can speak English.
She'll be due at court in Atlanta to see if they can stay legally in the US or not. That's if she decides to show up for the hearing.
If they stay undocumented and they don't go to court, there are going to be like some millions here that don't have any documents and that are always fearful that they're going to be caught in their jobs. They have to keep a low profile.
She sets off to take 4 buses across almost 3,000 kilometers to reach Atlanta. If they're not granted papers, they'll live in fear of being deported. Since Obama got to the White House 6 years ago, a record 2 million people have been deported. Most of the deported had already built a life in the US and are trying to get back, no matter the cost. We're in Mexico, 100 kilometers south of Arizona. It's the gateway into the merciless desert. Crosses commemorate migrants who've died and warn others. Here, there are no police. The mafia rules.
Jefe. Hey, excuse me. Do you sell those round hats that cover the back of the neck?
Enrique spent the first 3 decades of his life in the US. He was deported 6 years ago for drug trafficking. He wants to go back to what he feels is his home country. He's going to cross the desert for the first time.
We have camouflage backpacks, camouflage trousers, camouflage shirts. This is so the Border Patrol can't follow us, to throw them off.
Almost everyone in Altar makes a living from the migrants.
The candles so that God can help them get across safely. That's why we sell them.
Some locals rent rooms out, but others are in a much more lucrative business, human trafficking. These vans take migrants up to the border for a steep fee. Enrique has tried to negotiate with them.
About $7,000.
What does that include?
First, obviously, you get driven to the border, and from there you walk. Then you get picked up again, and you get driven to your destination.
$7,000 is too much for most migrants. But the mafia can offer an alternative.
How was your day?
Sarah grew up in Altar and works at a migrant shelter. Here, people are wary when they talk about trafficking.
You know the kid with the ponytail? He's already been and gone.
Did he go the regular way or like a burrero?
Like a burrero.
What does burrero mean?
You take a bag with drugs.
They often don't have money. So that's the easy way they're given to get across the border. So they take a load.
In a group of 10, one pays and 9 go loaded up. I don't have money for that.
So you're going to take a load?
Well, yeah.
If they get caught in the desert carrying drugs, it's just the migrants who'll face the consequences. The real puppet masters have been running the show for years.
It's all run by one group. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Do people not talk about that kind of things here?
I don't pay attention to all that, honestly. I don't like it.
Gang violence has driven thousands of migrants from Central America and Mexico north to the US in recent years. They cross the border seeking refuge.
I spoke to my mum and she said, no, don't come. Go back or go to Tijuana or go somewhere. Don't come here. So I can't go. Why would I go? I'm going to be made to extort people. And if not, they'll kill me and my family.
Sarah has to run dinner time at the shelter.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
A couple from Guatemala has been waiting for her.
What are you doing here in Altar?
We're looking for our son.
Ronald disappeared more than a year ago on his way to the US. He'd been deported a couple of months before. The last people who saw him were the coyotes, the human traffickers he'd paid to get him across the border.
He went from here, through Altar, to go to the US. But they say that in the middle of the desert, his legs cramped, so he couldn't walk anymore. So they left him there.
Ronald's parents have searched the whole area for traces of their son. Sarah is the last person on their list.
This month, we've had 5 parents looking for their sons. I've looked through for him dating back to June, right through to today. And he hasn't come up anywhere.
These parents just lost their last shred of hope. Ronald probably died in the desert.
Enrique, you came this morning, right? Go ahead.
On the dining room wall, a map shows the locations of all the migrants found dead in the desert in recent years. One last attempt to dissuade those gearing up to cross.
I don't think about that, because if you think about that, then that's what will hold you back, and I don't want nothing to hold me back right now. It's because my situation, if they get me, I'm looking at a lot of years, so I don't even want to think that. I won't let them get me. I just won't.
Enrique's been stuck in Altar so long, he doesn't get to stay in the shelter anymore.
Does your family know where you are?
No, I don't want them to know, or they'll worry even more, especially my mom.
Enrique is desperate not to carry drugs for the cartels at all costs. But he's penniless and prepared to go the riskiest route.
Are you willing to go by yourself, try alone?
Honestly, yes.
He's well aware of the dangers he'll have to face to reach his dream of starting a new life, and above all, seeing his mother again.
I was hoping to surprise him for, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then go with some flowers and some food so we could have a meal. But only God knows if I get to do that.
Even if he makes it to his destination, Enrique won't be able to let his guard down without papers. For so many migrants, crossing the desert is just the start of a life spent looking over their shoulders.
Well, joining us for more is our Mexico correspondent, Lawrence Cavilla. Lawrence, firstly, have you heard any more from Enrique since you filmed this report? Did he manage to get across the border and start his new life in the US?
Well, Enrique left Altar 4 days ago, so he must be, as we are talking, crossing the desert. We're pretty sure that he did not find the $7,000 that the human traffickers were asking from him. But we don't know if he left Altar with a pack of drugs, or if he tried to do it the most dangerous way, which is to cross the desert on his own.
At the beginning of the report, Lawrence, we hear about these private militias patrolling the US borders. The police seem to be turning a blind eye to them, even working with them. It seems quite extraordinary.
Yes, indeed. Sébastien Voignard, who was on the ground on the US side, saw concretely how this collaboration is taking place. First, the Border Patrol and the militias share common views on migration issues. They're mostly against migration, legal or illegal, and they feel that this border could be the gateway for terrorists to enter the country, although this has not been proven so far. But more than that, they collaborate on information and logistics. For example, the Border Patrol agents don't have the right to carry radio scanners, which would allow them to hack communications between human traffickers. The militias do have these scanners and sometimes discreetly lend them to the Border Patrol agents. Another example is that when the agents finish their shift, the militias sometimes reinforce the surveillance on the ground while the relief is coming. So yes, Border Patrol agents and militias do share logistics and information on the ground, as Sébastien Voignard has observed.
Lawrence, as we saw in your report, the situation for these people trying to make it to the US seems desperate. What are Mexican authorities doing about it?
Well, as you have seen in the report, human traffickers are everywhere in Altar. It's an open-air taboo, and there haven't been any kind of crackdown on them. The mafia has been run by the same people in Altar for years now. There is no equivalent of the Border Patrol on the Mexican side, but there is a government-run police group called the Grupo Beta, which is supposed to rescue and help migrants in distress. So on the Mexican side, it's basically all about rescuing the migrants, but also making money out of them.
There's much debate at the moment about how to curb illegal immigration in the US. What about reform being discussed in Mexico?
Well, here in Mexico, it is said that if massive deportations would keep on from the US to Mexico, it could indeed be an economic issue for the country, since the remesas, that is to say the money sent by the migrants, legal or illegal, from the US to Mexico, are one of the three main national revenue, along with oil and tourism.
Okay, Lawrence, thank you very much for joining us. No doubt we'll be hearing more about this issue in the coming days and weeks. Thank you also for watching. You can catch this episode of Reporters again on our website. And don't forget to tune in for another in-depth report at the same time next week.